Good evening, and welcome back to the Not So Perfect Bigfoot Show. Tonight, I have Wendell Burroughs and Dale Bollock. They are from the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel. They both are researchers, and they both have really impressed me. You got to go check out their Facebook. I stalked them. That's the truth. I stalked them, and I really like what I was seeing. They're really down to earth. They really seem to have a really close bond, and I really like that. And they have a common sense approach, boots on the ground. Before we introduce them, I want to say hello to Dirt Road Bigfoot and BFFG. Thanks, guys, for dropping in. Wendell, let's start with you.
All right. I'm Wendell Hurricane Burroughs. I'm the founder of the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel and the Arkansas Boys and Team Folklore Bigfoot Investigations.
Dale?
I'm Dale Bollock. I live up here in north central Arkansas. I've been researching with a little bit. We've got like 4 or 5 groups, and you just kind of get a hodgepodge of different members that show up a lot of time. But most of the time, it's been with the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel, Folklore Investigations, and we have had some wild times. It's no doubt about that.
So your relationship started with activity on your property, correct, Dale?
Yes, ma'am.
You reached out to Wendell. Can you guys go into that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Dale.
I think the whole thing started is that we had a bunch of guys that didn't have any place to shoot their rifles, and I just told them, I said, I've got this mountain. We put up targets up here on the side of the mountain. We'll shoot all these things. They had SKSs and ARs and AK-47s, just all kind of really cool rifles that really bang. And I said, yeah, come on out. So there was a whole group of guys come out. There's about 9 or 10 of us out here, and we shot for 2 hours.
Wow.
And there's brass everywhere when we got done, and everybody had a real good time and everything. And the next morning, I got up and I just got to looking around, and all the trees right around my house. I live right up on the side of a mountain, and I've kind of got trees on 3 sides of me, and all those trees were tore up, shoved down, or limbs broke out, or bark tore off of them. And it was like, boy, this is strange. And I don't know, it was almost like all my chickens started getting killed or taken, and no feathers, just taken. And chicken coop got tore up. My back deck got tore up. My boat was thrown around all over the yard, and it was just it's crazy, And a little bit later, I was planting azaleas down on the west end of my yard, and I looked up on the side of the mountain, and I saw this great big red-haired creature standing behind about a 2-foot diameter tree trunk up there, and he was swaying back and forth, just watching me for about 30 minutes. And I just stood there and watched him, and I was like, and I didn't have any kind of camera or phone or anything. And I'm like, whoa. And I ran in the house to get a camera, came back out, and of course he was gone. But this stuff was just continuing. It was just constant. My chickens disappeared. And I went ahead and replaced all of my chickens, and then they all disappeared.
Oh,
and I'm like, boy, stuff getting torn up. And it's really freaky stuff going on. And that's when I was like, I believe I know what this is. And so I knew the tree that thing was standing behind on the hill, and he had red hair, just red as it can be. And I went up and actually measured on the tree where he was standing, and he had to be 8 foot tall. So that's when I got hold of Wendell, and I said, Wendell, I got something going on here. So he made an appointment with me, and we met at a local store there and talked for a while. They come on out.
Wendell,
Yeah.
you actually got into the Bigfoot through church. Because when he
Yeah.
said red hair, that kind of
Yeah, that all ties into it. I go back to my first experience that now I contribute to Bigfoot. I was a teenager and I hunted on the spring squirrel hunted on the Catherine Creek here. And I was in an area that my uncle had told me not to go, but that's where the best squirrels was, you know. So I was hunting there and I heard what I know now is chatter talk back and forth across the creek, and it sounded like a rock being thrown in there. And eventually I kept looking over the bluff line, trying to figure out what it was. Never did see anything, but it was just now we've heard it after being Bigfoot, and I know what it is. But anyway, I got back up to the house and I was telling my uncle about it, and he said, "Boy, I told you not to go down there. That's where the woolly boogers were."
what a woolly booger.
Yeah, and I thought he was crazy. But anyway, I never did go back down there. But I've hunted and fished everywhere else around here for 20 miles, I guess. But fast forward to 2011, and a guy at church was really into the Bigfoot deal and going to Falk and everything. And he asked me about it, and I said, I don't believe in that. But I told him about that experience I had. I said, that might have been something, you know. I don't know what that was. He said, well, if you read your Bible, then you got to believe in Bigfoot. If you believe your Bible 100%. And I said, there ain't no Bigfoot in the Bible. He said, well, actual words are not. But he said, if you look at Genesis 25, where Esau was born covered in red hair as a garment, and this is that bird. Now, I'm one later. You've heard of babies being born with hair on their head, but this is full bodied. And he said, follow that scripture and see who he married, and then you add it all up and trace it down. Well, Esau ended up marrying 2 wives that were giants or from the giant bloodline. If you take somebody that's covered in red hair from top to bottom and then marry somebody that's 11 foot tall, most of the giants were around anywhere from 10 to 11 foot tall that's listed in the Bible. That's pretty much sounds like a Bigfoot. But anyway,
I did not know that.
Thinking about it and tracing it down. But after 2011, we started taking youth out hunting and everything. Well, we had 18 different kids that we took hunting from 2011 to 2014. And in 2014, we was kind of bored all sitting here. And on that, we call it the Arkansas Boys. That was our website. We went hunting. People invited us to go hunting. Well, we were sitting here looking for something to do, and I had jokingly said, let's go down to Fountain, see if we can find the Boggy Creek Monster. All these kids had never heard anything about Boggy Creek Monster. And I was, like I said, it was just a joke at the time. And the oldest one of them is named Jordan Pearson. He ended up, and he said, well, I got some money. Let's go down there. I said, okay. So we went down there and ended up talking to Denny Roberts. He's the one that owns the Falk Monster Mart, and we was talking to him. He has kin folks here around where I live. We ended up finding out. He said, well, I'll tell you what, we had a sighting about a week ago. Nobody really knows about it, but I'll tell y'all about it, and y'all go over there. Just strange. When we got over there, it was burnt. So we was talking earlier about our area had been burnt, and I never thought about it till right then. But we got over there, and we went to the actual the Ford place where the sightings and everything happened, and didn't see nothing there. And it was about the end of the day, time to go home. We rounded a curve and seen something large, dark colored, like a man, jump the road and run through a barbed wire fence. We pulled up there, and the eyes got like this, you know, and jumped out and yelled, and it never even made they didn't even hurt us or known anything, but just within 5 seconds, it went across a 100-yard field, and I'm 6'4.5", 6'5", depending on what shoes I got on, and it was a head taller than me as it run across that field. So that's what got us into Bigfoot. And then fast forward a couple of years, I'd met a guy named Tony Maddox. He was an ex-wrestler and everything, but we was actually researching an area that was about 7 miles from Dale, and we'd been advertising if anybody had any activity in the area, because we was having sightings around. It's called Buffalo Hump. It's a little town called Quitman, and they've been having sightings there off and on for 20, 25 years. It's like they move in, move out. And Tony had contacted me, and he said, well, if you want to get in this Bigfoot and stuff, I'll show you some stuff. And first time I went out with him, I told my wife, I said, I may not come back. This guy sounds crazy. But everything he showed me actually turned out, and I couldn't believe it. And then, like I said, we was posting, asking if anybody had activity in the area, and that's when Dale contacted me, and went from there.
Wow. So you, it's safe to say Boggy Creek Monster is still out there.
Still, 2014, it was still out there. I have people that message me all the time from sightings and stuff from around that area down there. And we actually have a part of our team that lives down there that if they have anything, we send them out. And if it's something that we need to call in, everybody will go to that area. But that's how our group works. We got people all over the state. So
that is outstanding. I did not know it, but I hit the jackpot with y'all. That is history. I mean, literally, that's a piece of history, and you guys are living it.
But, you know, we found the same kind of tracks in a swamp up in northern Arkansas, northeastern Arkansas.
Yeah,
the big three-toed tracks.
And back on that, I'd never seen a three-toed track other than in the museum or that part of the monster mark. Because everything I've ever seen's always been 5-toed, or some that was deformed that you could tell had been in a trap or something like that. Until this last year, and we actually found the one area there in eastern Arkansas that at least 2 of them has just 3 toes, and it's on both feet, so it's not from a trap or injury. So it's something genetically
different size creatures too. So we know, just from that trip, we didn't find a whole lot, but we did find enough to know that there's a breeding population up in that same area, and they're actually 3-toed. So
wow.
But
which
a lot
this is
of people got hold of me right after that, and they said, "Y'all leave that one alone; it'll kill you."
Really? I bet you go after them anyway, don't you?
We will.
Well,
yeah, that won't slow us down.
Wait till you hear this.
He didn't even hesitate. Wendell's the crazy one, I'm telling you. He was like, "I'll do it." Okay.
Yeah, we'll do
it first, buddy. All right, so Dale, before you and I really hate to change the subject, but I have a short attention span. Before you were shooting and discharging rounds on your property, did you have any type of activity, or do you think that the gunfire brought it in?
Absolutely. I'm thinking that maybe a juvenile got curious, and there was a lot of lead flying out there, and I think we might have shot one because the activity was almost like payback. It was it's like we made them mad somehow, and it was real strange activity. I mean, it went from nothing to 100-mile-an-hour in a month. It's crazy.
Wow. So when Wendell come in, what did you guys find? What?
Oh, go ahead, Wendell.
Well, first of all, it's a challenge to get up this mountain that he lives underneath. I actually fell off a rock there and broke a rib, and it was like 4 months before I could get back to moving right. But once we got up there, we found ledges where there's actual butt print. of one that was sitting there. We found little small juvenile tracks. We found we call it was a gifting tree or something. This whole tree was stuffed full of different kinds of toys, different kinds of streamers, like party streamers. Stuff, just it looks like stuff that was just collected and put inside this tree. And I've actually had somebody else told me that raccoons may do that. Well, that's possible, but around this tree was all them little bitty footprints. So I'm not saying that the juvenile did that or the mama, but it was interesting that these little footprints was around that tree. We've actually done a couple of our episodes on our YouTube channel. I think it's Folklore 7 is where we actually did a full investigation and run lights and wires and everything up there trying to capture anything. We had motion detectors that on these 1,000-watt lights all over. If something moved, it was going to kick these lights on. We've actually hung bacon up in the tree there. Trying to think of the other thing. Well, the largest track that we've ever found was up there is 21 inches long and 8.5 inches wide.
You say 21 inches?
Yes. I think that was Big Red that he keeps that he's named it or appropriately, but if not, that's still a big track, 21 inches and 8.5 inches wide.
Wow. So you found a toy box, basically.
Basically, yeah.
That's
wow.
what we thought. We even found a cave up there, just a little shallow cave that had a rock wall stacked in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this top rock.
Wendell, did you go first in the cave?
No, I wasn't first. Actually, one of our team members, well, both of them went in there at basically same time, but Matthew Stone and Marcus Miller, that was two of our younger guys that was on our team, and they was the first that is in that cave to where these rocks that have stacked up. It would take 2 to 3 people to even be able to pick up one of these rocks and then maneuver it here. And it's waist tall that they were stacked in front of this cave, like keeping something out.
And this was up a mountain that you broke your rib to try to get up to.
Yes, yes.
It's not like just anyone's just going to go up there and.
No, you ain't going to go up. It's difficult to get up there.
Wow.
It's so probably at a 55 to 60 degree incline. So when you're standing, leaning forward, your hands touching the hill that you're fixing to climb up. I mean, it's that steep.
Oh, I'm too old for that, sir.
Yeah.
So when you found a 21-inch track, were you able to measure the stride on it?
On that particular time, no. But later, when we found the track before, when we put up game cameras and we'd only get eye shine, it's like they could see the infrared or whatever it was, because we just get close enough to get an outline of a possible head and eye shine. Then we actually, that same track size anyway, I don't know if it was the same one, but one that was 21 inches, we actually got the stride, and it was Clint measured it. It was either 6.5 or 7.5 feet, the stride.
It's not something you want to run to in the dark or the daylight. No. So when you did your investigation,
I was just going to say, not if they was upset or anything. Normal cases that we've been in is they want to avoid you as much as possible. They may be curious, and they'll get within 75, 80 feet, 40 yards if they feel that there's no chance of you being able to see them. And normally they always got an opportunity. They'll give you opportunity to move or get out or whatever. That's the normal situations. But we have had interactions to where it was probably more our fault, but we was trying to push them to where they'd be in front of a camera to where we get a good picture or anything like that. And have had them actually close enough that one of our members, Austin Wallace is his last name. He's a cousin to Marcus. Actually had one of them swap at his head. And he didn't believe in Bigfoot until he seen that and swap at his head. And now he ain't been back. I wonder why.
I think that'll make a believer out of you. Holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I went bow hunting up there later on, and I won't go up there now unless I'm heavily armed. I've got my dog with me or whatever. I just don't go up there. But for some reason, I went bow hunting up there one night, and I said, "Well, I want to bow hunt, so I had these amber shades on, and I said I'll just leave these shades on because I could see browns and greens easier." And when I took them off, it was a lot darker than I thought it was.
Oh.
And here I was up on the mountain, hadn't seen or heard anything from a deer. And I was like, well, I'll get off this mountain quick because I'm up here in the dark, and it scared me. And when I started to go down, there was a great big wood knot just straight across the mountain east of me. And then right after that, there was one below the cliff that I had to go down. And I'm like, oh boy, they're waiting on me. You know, it scared me to death. You can ask Wendell how steep that was. I just kind of ran and jumped and landed on my butt and slid like a toboggan all the way down that thing just to get off that mountain. I was scared. And
if it works, it works. If it gets you off that mountain, I do have a question. When you were, you'd set up all the lights and everything around the toy box, as we call it. I have heard they actually store food in the hollow trees. Did you get action that night, or did you get some reaction like stay away from my stuff, man?
Well, you want to go into the action we got, Dale? That was
this last one?
No, the one where Clint chased your dog around the corner.
Hilarious. You know, I think we did capture that at Eyeshine that night, didn't we?
Yeah, we got Eyeshine, and that's the same night that it followed the wires down and come around the building. And we was actually on a podcast that night. We was doing it live from that night, and the lights kicked on up above. So we was like, oh, there's something going on up there. Well, the guy that was interviewing us, my laptop was there, and we was using the wireless, and my camera was facing all of us, and we was all standing here, and everybody else was looking back towards the lights, and he goes, well, what's that behind y'all there at the come around the building? And we're just like, there ain't nobody over there. They ain't supposed to be there. And it was actually one that followed that wire down and looked around the building like that. And he caught it it's on that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You have got to hook me up and send me a link to that. I would love to. That is like the $1 million capture right there. Can't deny that.
Yeah.
What was hilarious about that though is as soon as this thing was seen, man, the guns came out. Everybody drawed their gun, and we were going after it. And I had this great big black dog, and she was coal black. And one of our members, Clint Holloway, is that
Holloway? Yeah.
Holloway, yeah. Oh, Clint, he runs around the end of my house in the dark, and that big old black dog went the other way and met Clint in the dark out there. And you can hear Clint's like, wow, sound like a
that's all on that podcast.
I was falling down laughing. Wonder he didn't shoot my dog. It scared him to death. I don't blame him, but man, that was crazy.
Dale, you called him out, didn't you? Well, he called his own self out on the podcast. Yeah. That's hilarious. That's good times. You don't get those times back, do you?
No, we sure don't.
Thank God for good friends.
That's right. Yeah, that's
and live podcasts.
The amazing thing here of all this is all the people that we've met and become just great buddies, great friends, and like you were saying at the end, I got a couple that I want to recognize and everything that are out of our team. First one's out of our team that's passed away and everything, but it's amazing the camaraderie that you build doing this and find somebody that don't think you're crazy. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well,
or no, you're not, because they've seen the same. That's what I tell everybody. And we don't charge or anything like that. If you want to have an experience, just come with us. And if you're not a believer when you get there, I'm 99% sure you will be when you leave. Everybody that's come has. Like I said, I don't know if we're lucky or jinxed or we just try crazy stuff. Like you was talking about the thunder tree, that actually worked that area too. And that's how they went to answering from like 6-7 different directions. And ever since then, we've used that. We locate a tree in the area that we're going to be investigating, and it thunders all over the valley. You can hear that tree now. During our group, and we've discussed, we actually we don't believe that they're actually hitting a tree. I mean, it would be kind of just amazing that they'd walk around with a stick to hit a tree or pick one up. Have you ever heard the gorillas that smack their chest and make the beating sound?
yeah.
We believe that's what they're doing. If you've got a 4-foot wide chest and when you hit it, you're going to make an echo of a sound. And that's what we believe they're answering. Our tree knocks just sound similar, so they answer back to it. Just like if you do that around a gorilla, they think it's territorial and you're challenging them. We may be challenging them. That may be why they come to us. But
You're going to send Wendell out first, aren't you, Dale?
Yeah.
So have you had any of your dogs attacked? Because we bring our dog out, and I'm always like,
well, we did have one two investigations ago.
Yeah.
Thank God we had that dog with us
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't know it was coming, but the dog did. And it probably wasn't 5 yards from Wendell when my dog intercepted it.
Yeah.
wow.
And
I was using the night vision, looking at one that was kept coming up to camp and calling and whooping and doing. It even sounded like an elk. The first time I've ever heard one sound close, similar to an elk. But I was focused on it and recording it. That's in our this YouTube video. Me and the girl that was standing there, I was recording it, and she was holding her phone because all of our power had went, all the batteries went dead. She was recording the night vision. We was focused on it. All of a sudden, I heard a commotion behind us. It was Dale's dog coming out of the tent and jumping at something. And as I whirled around, all I could see was a shape of blob jumping off the bluff with his dog hooked to it.
But I was actually looking at two of them that were standing down in the road. They was keeping their distance, but they was standing down there, and I was watching them through thermal. And when my dog come by me, I swung around, and up close with the thermal, you can see, detail. Mm-hmm. And this thing, my big dog was eating at the back of its knees as it turned around, and it bailed off of that cliff, and it turned around and swatted my dog real hard, and it kind of hurt his front leg there for a while, but he come limping back into camp, and he's fine now. But that was a night.
I think that dog is a little bit crazy, like Wendell is there.
Yeah, I say Colt's my hero because, like I said, like you said, it was within 11 feet from me and Braden's girlfriend. I forget her name.
Wow.
But
yeah, that thing was going for Wendell.
Yeah.
I hope you guys bought Cole a steak or a steak.
Oh,
I bought a new collar.
A new collar.
A new collar. What's the scariest situation you guys have been in?
I would have to say that the Saturday night there, because it was a total different attitude. Because normally, like I said, they always give you an out or something, but we've been trying for 2.5 years to get to a spot we call Castle Rock, which it looks like a castle if you're standing off to get to it. And from our normal area, it's 4.5 mile hike into it. And you got to cross 2 large creeks, almost rivers, but they're large creeks. And for this 2.5 years, we do 2 investigations, one in the spring and one in the fall. So that'd been 4 times this was the 5th time we went there. We'd been trying to get to Castle Rock, but because of weather or even one guy fell and got hurt, we had to turn around and come back. We never made it to Castle Rock. Well, this time we made it to Castle Rock, moved around, found an area to where stuff had been ripped up, and like you'd want to say it's a bed, but it's ripped up, just paper and plastic and everything, and where something might have been laying and everything at one of them cave areas there. That Brandon was the new guy that got to see all that. But anyway, when we come back from there, Saturday evening, about half of our team had different emergencies happen at their house. Imagine that. So they had to leave. So it was just me and Dale, my wife, a guy named Jay that was there. As the evening progressed, it was kind of normal. You could hear the whoops and calls and everything around. And then it just went quiet. Well, a boy come driving in, and when you come drive, it's one way into this place, and that's the only way, one way in, one way out. And you got to drive right along the edge of a bluff. You feel like your vehicle's going to fall off this bluff at any minute, but it don't, or hadn't ever. So when he drove in, that's when Dale just happenly looked around with the night vision, and he said, "There's one behind his truck right there coming along the road that comes in." Well, when he pulled in, that's when I yelled at Braden if either one of them had a cell phone or something that would record, because all of our batteries had went dead. That's a strange occurrence too, but anyway, that's beside the point. So I had that one that he had just pointed out that was would be coming along that road. I had it on night vision. That's when she said, "Yeah, my phone's working." So she recorded not night vision, but thermal, and she was recording that, and that's when the incident happened with the dog and the one that was behind us, and they kept moving in and out, and we actually we found rock that was kind of spear-shaped rocks, long, narrow rocks that had been thrown in. We found one that stuck into it, because we'd hear stuff go, and we're like, what is that? But we found one there at the edge of camp that actually stuck into a tree stump, and it had stuck about 4 or 5 inches into that tree stump. So they were throwing these rocks. Man. We think long story short, we think we upset them because we went to their house and they didn't want us there no more. And as
you were uninvited guests, sir. You were uninvited guests.
Well, we found the cutest little 5-inch Bigfoot tracks.
Yeah, right there.
I said, boys, we done screwed up. We're messing with their babies now. And all the way back to camp, they were surrounding us and following us and on both sides of us. And it was scary.
It kind of sounds to me like that. Yeah, it kind of sounds to me like that was kind of a game changer with them. Where it's almost like their tolerance kind of went out the window when you went to their bed inside. Do you think if they got a chance that they would have snatched you? It sounds to me like they're going to snatch one of you up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that would have been a spanking either. I don't think that would have been a spanking, sir.
Well, with when I first had that thermal, I just turned around and looked at a young guy coming in, and I saw that thing jump out in the road behind his truck and was just kind of jogging behind his truck down that road. And then I got to looking, and there was 2 more on the hillside, just kind of west of him, just kind of planted out there on the hillside, and then there was one down on the road the other direction, and then pretty soon here come another one down there and sat out on a hillside beside him, and I counted 7 of them out there. And
that's basically what I counted too.
That's tactical. That's tactical. That's intelligent.
That's what I said. You know, the way that, and when our fire burned down, they would move closer. So we were burning everything that could catch fire. I mean, we was keeping that flame up, and it was, you know, it was just really nuts because, you know, we knew there something had changed, and they were going to either teach us a lesson or take us, one of the other.
We're going to come off that mountain.
That one came right up the cliff. That's why we didn't see it coming.
But now the truck coming up the cliff, do you think the one in the rear was going to nudge it or trying to nudge it off the cliff, or?
Well, you know, it ran down the road behind him all the way, and it got about 30 yards from the camp, and it cut out and off the trail there and got behind a big old tree. And so it was hiding. It was real close. And eventually the one that was down on the road, the other one walked out on the road with him and was just standing down there. They were just out of range of our game cams and everything. And I think they were, you know, the precision of that was what amazed me, because, you know, all these things were positioned all around us. So they had to have stood out there in the woods and said, this is what we're going to do. You know, they had to discuss that somehow because it was all too perfect.
You brought up the cliff. It was actually, it either missed its mark if it was going to push the truck off the cliff, because where it come out of the woods was right at the end of the cliff and it curves back in. So it possibly, but we have discussed it. We discussed that night about do we want to leave, and I'm like, no, because if you go on that cliff, there's only at spots it's only like 12 inches from your tires from going off the cliff. So I'm like, no, we ain't going out unless we just have to. And at that night, normally we're a no-kill group, but we, like I said, we push them, and if we was to be attacked or hurt, we would defend ourselves. But we was down to just 2 pistols, me and Dale, 40 cal pistols, and I said, if only way I would shoot one attack is if it come into camp and attacking the vehicle or us or grabbed us, or like, I would sure hope Dale, if that hadn't grabbed me from behind, would have been shot. That's kind of like Jerry Clower, just shoot up here amongst us, and one of us got to have some relief. But that's, I mean, you want something that's going to knock one down or something, and these little pistols ain't going to do that. That's just going to make it mad. But
they're going to get mad.
That was, yeah. So normally we all carry big, heavy, either shotguns with us in the vehicle or something, just in case. But that night, everybody, like I said, that had brought that, because we assigned who's bringing what, and went home, and it was just me and Dale with pistols. And I'm like, this is not good at all.
So they set boundaries for you guys that night.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But
when the young boy, Braden, when he got there, first thing Wendell asked him is, you carry? And he said, yeah, I got my 10 millimeter. I think, yes, we got 3 pistols, you know.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't going to do anything, and, you know, not those guns. But
making noise. Usually just a noise like that, they'll depart. They don't want nothing to do with it, you know. But that night, I think it was a different deal. And like I said, we believe it's because we went to where we shouldn't have. But
that night was personal. Now, will you respect those boundaries, or will you?
Yeah. Up till that night and that had happened, we actually was going to make base camp right there at the foot of that, what we call Castle Rock, and put our cameras up just to observe. But now that this has happened, I believe it's my personal opinion. Now, there's, like I said, Clint, and there's two different teams that might go in there. I can't say what they'll do, but if I'm leading the investigation, that last creek before you go up to Castle Rock, we're not going to cross it. Now, we may be on this side of the creek and have all of our observers. Now we got better cameras. Now we bought, since this has happened, better, further reaching cameras. So we may put it all around that to observe that, but we won't go into actual what would be their living room, basically.
I really respect that because as people, we set boundaries and we want people to respect our boundaries. And I think when they set boundaries that night, and I think that I think by respecting those boundaries, you'll get more out of them in the future. Better. That's just me. I could be wrong, but because I haven't been in the field in probably 6 months. But that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That is like, I'm not driving my vehicle up that mountain. Negative Ghost Rider, not happening.
But the lady that's with us, Kim, she's just kind of new to it, and she's a trooper though. She'll get out there and hike like crazy. But on the way back, this little pond area, and it's about halfway back, maybe.
About halfway, yeah, 2 miles roughly.
And they had moved in on us, and we're sitting there, and we've got these owl hoots around us that are just, going into your chest, and Kim's like, "Is that really an owl?" And Wendell said, "It's a 900-pound owl."
Yeah. Now, do you think they mimic the owls because that's something they pick up in the forest and it's just easier to communicate? Because, the average person's going to hear it. It may sound strange, but, they're doing yard work or something. They're minding their own business. They're not going to pick up on that.
Yeah, so, I think it's mimicking what they hear. And just like the Native Americans, when they was moving in on something like a fort or whatever, they would mimic bird sounds and they communicate. I think they're doing exactly the same thing.
And I think they can mimic just about any sound they want to make, including human voices.
Yeah.
Travel. Sounds like it's travel. Jeff, Pete, I'm probably slaughtered your name, Jeff. I'm sorry. He says, there any Bigfoot by Clinton, Arkansas?
Yes.
Yeah.
The old, about a mile from the Oaf Ranch. He'll know where that is. It's where the National Truck Wagon Race is every year. While it was going on, a lady called me about a mile from the Oaf Ranch that night and had one slap the side of her house and everything. We actually went out there and investigated it. So, he'll know where it's at, or the area.
He said he had one roar at him, 2005, Greens Ferry Lake, and Whoops 2 by Edgemont, Arkansas.
Yeah,
that's Big Red, I guarantee you, Dale, because when you don't have activity, the one at the camper that got hit at Devil's Fort Park, they said was red. And that's right where he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all talking about Big Red like he's a long lost cousin. Let's go into him a little bit. What's the history on Big Red?
That's the one that was up at Dale's place. The 21 inch.
He's got to be the stinkiest creature this side of hell. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, they stink. But different times of year, I don't think they migrate, but they move with the game or different food sources. And that's the same one. It's about 7 to 10 miles away at Buffalo Hump at Quippen that we've tracked to there. And then I've had reports of it at Devil's Fort State Park. It's right across the lake from Greers Ferry where he's talking about. And so it's kind of like 3 or 4 months they'll move to this spot, and 3 or 4, and then they work their way back around. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I noticed around here when the game disappears, they disappear.
Like
so they're following the deer. Whenever the little does and stuff start walking around out here again, I'll start seeing activity. I'll start smelling red. You can smell him. If he's in the area, you can smell him.
So red don't bathe. So they're like coyotes. Once the small game's gone, they're gone. They just
pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Now there's certain areas like this one, Castle Rock, and had been at Sillamore National Forest until it got burnt. There's a group that stays there year round. I don't know if the others bring food into them or what, but the majority of them, they'll be they got a home base that they keep somebody at, or a 1 or 2 or 3 for the little ones, and then they send out hunting parties, you could say, or whatever. But
wow. So he wants Jeff also wants to know what's up with them slapping the house. Could be like ringing a doorbell. I don't know. He wants to know, why do they slap houses?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've tried to figure that out before too. At Thursday, we had one that would do it at least 2 or 3 times a month, and why we never figured out, unless it's just to possibly get somebody outside to maybe take them, or to just unnerve them. But we ended up putting up back to the infrared lights all around this person's property. Our team member did, and it ended all that. So they could definitely see the red light. So if you're having any trouble with one, just a regular red light, or they'll stay away from red light. But why they slap the house, that's just are just different guesses that we have amongst us in the team. We hadn't found no conclusive reason why.
So you guys are like the jump team for Bigfoot problems. You guys get a lot of call, come on my property, I need to hear activity. I mean,
more and more. It started off like once a year or something, but here recently we've had more and more from all parts of Arkansas that it's been contacting us. Can you help us? And when we can, we do. It's a lot of it. Luckily, we have somebody pretty much all 4 corners of Arkansas, so we can send somebody. If there's really a lot of activity, or if they can't handle the problem, then we call in all the team to come to that area and do what needs to be done. You know.
Wow, that's incredible. So let's go back to Big Red. So is he like a loner, or did you say he was like with a clan? I mean,
I think he's the clan.
He seems like the cousin you don't want around.
Yeah. I believe he's the alpha male for that clan, or he may have several clans and he travels amongst them. Like I said, at Buffalo Hump, there's some that move in and out there, and him and his, I don't know, you'd say hunters or the ones that travel with him may come to there, and it's a whole different set of family or breeding population, and he just moves around to them all.
Yeah.
So in your investigations, what is a activity or a trait about Bigfoot or Sasquatch that you would have never, that kind of shocked you, that you're learning about them that you just don't hear every day? Because that could be specific to an area, or
different. Well, it's just Sillamore area. There's all kinds of tree structures. They're all about it. More than, there's one big giant X that we call it the X Factor area, but besides that, everywhere there's tree structures. Now at OARC, you'll very rarely find tree structures. If they are, they're always out by the highway. That's unusual. But actual into the area, there's no tree structures, nothing. There'll be paths that they've walked through, and like all the tree limbs is broke off, and you can see for 100 yards. Where in the middle of this cedar tree, we called a spot that was called the Gauntlet, and they had a 4-foot wide path all the way through these cedar trees, 8 foot tall. That was every limb was broke off. So,
wow.
And that part right there, that area really amazed me the first time I ever went there, because I get out there and I start tracking them. I'll pick up a track line and I'll follow that thing until I can't see it anymore, or it gets, or I just lose it or something. But I got out there in that place, and they say this is a gauntlet, and I said I can understand why, because there was tracks going this way, tracks going this way, tracks going this way. They were everywhere. I mean,
wow.
everywhere. And I don't know what the population is up in there, Wendell, but I don't know. Maybe you got some idea, but I know there's got to be a bunch of them.
There's several of them, and more. I believe more now from what we saw in this last investigation than what I did before. Before, I thought there was maybe up to 10 that stayed around there, and just from the amount of different size tracks that we saw, and then the 7 that was definitely adult, I would say it's at least up into the 20s that's in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And if people know where it's at around there, the other landmark that's there is White Rock Mountain, and what's that store there? What? Oh,
He says Wendell is like Grizzly Adams waving for me to go pet the Bigfoot. No, oh no.
yeah, no, that probably wouldn't normally be a good idea.
Yeah. So now, do you get?
I'm really thinking that's why we have so much activity, because they feel comfortable with Wendell. He's so big.
Yeah, like what Clint says. He says, if you want to see a Bigfoot, you got to look like a Bigfoot. I'm glad we got one. Long lost cousin. I said, okay,
they
Clint.
Say, here comes cousin Wendell up the mountain,
yeah,
breaking a rib. Do you get a lot of hunters in the area that has activities? Do they get scared out of the area with the hunters?
I know a lot of them that said I'll never hunt again, and I'm one of them. I couldn't imagine sitting out in a tree stand 2 hours before daylight or after dark. I could not imagine doing that now. I wouldn't. I'm scared. I really am. They're too smart and they're too big,
You got off on the wrong foot with your little festival of gunfire there, buddy.
Yeah.
You got on their bad side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How
bad side to start with.
Are they go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as any hunters or anything, the only ones that I've had contact me, and it was later after we said we've been in that area, is up at the Sillermore area. I've had several coon hunters contacted me and said that their dogs come back from that area, that they won't go in that area if we up there, to let them know, and they'll take us to where they had encounters of something. And several times I've offered, but when we get up there, their schedules don't arrange with ours. So
Yeah.
I'm working with Marcus right now to get a hold of them people, and maybe he can go to where they're at. Since our area was burnt of the forest, they may have moved to there, so where they had an encounter, if it hadn't to be in the burnt forest.
Was that a controlled burn, or do you think they were burning to flush something out? Okay, controlled.
It's controlled.
I think it was to flesh something out, but it was listed as a controlled burn, because every year at this, from the middle of March to the middle of April, when we've been in there, they've been just unbelievable Bigfoot activity. So it's like they're coming from all over the state and meeting there. and we've actually heard them where it sounds like they're fighting and stuff. So I don't know what's going on, if it's a breeding time or if it's.
I was thinking that.
And the
Or
thing
what,
about-
but
The thing about that area too, you know, as big as Big Red is, you know, with the 21-inch feet, we found tracks up in that area that made Big Red probably look like the little brother.
Oh man.
I mean, those tracks were huge. I've never seen anything like that. But
How
what,
And I
what
guess-
23 inches long or something like that? Wendell? Pretty big.
I guess this is speculation, but how do you think like Big Red or another Sasquatch or Bigfoot would become alpha? Do you think they just move on and create their own clan or tribe or unit, or do you think they fight it out? Or
Yeah, I do.
I think they fight it out. It's also from what reading the tree signs, tree glyphs, as I call them. They're a female will search for an alpha male. It's like it's open, come here, and that may encounter when they go to fighting or whatever. But because your ex that I'm talking about, if they're up, that's an alpha male that's there. Now, if that X is on the ground, and that's usually what I've seen is track wise and supports that is it's a female looking for an alpha male. So,
wow, so she just puts it out there like writing on the bathroom wall, huh, Wendell?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I think that's incredible to hear them all on a mountain and they just actually find each other. Let me ask you something. How do you think their scent is? Do you think they can, you think they know scent discrimination? Do you think they know you by your scent? Or,
oh, yeah, no doubt. They know you just perfect by your smell. That's one of the things when we hunted the Arkansas boys and everything, we have a scent company that cover scent that you can spray you down that eliminates your scent and everything. We use that a lot of times when I'm out and everything. So I definitely believe they can smell and pinpoint each person by their smell, and I believe they have unbelievable hearing. So if you're breathing or talking or whispering, they hear it.
And they pick up on your energy very well too, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would you say they're aggressive, or would you say that they're just defending their territory, or just, hey, you're in my area, this is what I am, but I'll tolerate you?
I don't know.
Depends on the clan and the alpha male.
Yeah.
From what we've
people, some good, some bad, you know. Like
about 8 different areas.
Yeah.
You're gonna after you've been in there for a while, you'll figure out real fast if it's a unruly one or if they're more friendly.
But the bottom line is they allow you to leave. Or do you think that they respect you because you have stood up and stood your ground? Do you think that they recognize and respect that, or do you think it just pisses them off?
Like I said, the majority respect that and the bounds. But then you'll come across, especially if you come across one that's been ostracized, pushed away, or been like happened at Dale's place where one had been shot at or something, and they're already peeved when you run into them, and that's a total different situation. And if you happen to, I believe some of that is where the 411 reports come from, because we have an area that we're going to be going into, and it's Devil's Den in Arkansas. It's over in the west part of Arkansas. They've had several missing persons go there, and they find their bodies that's been all ripped apart and everything. A year or two later, miles from where they went missing. We believe there's one there that's in that area that's just plumb hostile to people. Why? We don't know. Maybe it had an incident like this where somebody shot at it before or something. But it does just not like people.
When you think about it, when you read some of his books, my biggest goal is to get him on a show. I think I'm going to be waiting a long time for that, but it's okay. But when you start to read his books and you start to find the boots with the broken bones in them, where you're finding the boots and just the bones of the feet, that would be like snapping the deer's legs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to go up there now. What's driving you to go up there, knowing all of that? Is
one of our research team has somebody that's in that area that needs help and has asked us to be there. Neil, he knows somebody that's in that area and he just feels like it's where we need to be. So I told him, no, if you go in there, we'll go in there. We'll back you up. So we're all waiting on him for the go.
when you go in deep and watch your back on that. I think that's incredible that when someone needs you, you don't even hesitate. You go. That speaks volumes for the type of person you are. I mean, you're crazy, but that you need a little crazy to do this.
Yeah.
I hope that when you do go out there, you'll make contact with me and I can get an update from you guys.
Yeah.
I would really enjoy that.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been going on almost an hour. I could have you on for another hour, but I know you have families and everything. But I would like to know, out of all of the outings you had, out of everything you've done, what's the one incident that maybe we haven't touched on that you want to talk about, and what's the best advice you can give a new researcher?
I wish I had all of Neil's, what's he call them? Where he writes down where we had a problem and
diary.
Yeah, it's kind of like a diary, but he calls it something where if you have a problem, do this, and then and when we had the fat tire out there with no spare.
Oh.
Always be prepared to make a checklist and then recheck that list. And when you get halfway there, you're going to realize that you've not brought something that you thought you had, and don't hesitate twice to stop. If you got the money, buy what you need, because during all this stuff, you always forget something, and that's the one thing you need when you get there.
So how can people find you if they want to get in touch with you or to go out with you or like to be part of the team?
Well, they can message me. Pretty much everything's through the Folklore Bigfoot Investigations Facebook page. That's direct. I'll answer all that. Our Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel, we post on there when we have outings, and we always tell them what general area of the state we'll be in, because we've had some incidences with I don't know if there's government forces or people or other teams that was following us. We don't say our direct spot anymore. But once they contact me on the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel, then I'll message them and work them into coming along with us.
It may take me until tomorrow because I have something I have to address tonight, but I'll make sure all of that's in the description for you. Just bear with me on that. I'll make sure I can put as much information as I can for you and how to find you. And Dale, is there anything advice you want to give a young researcher, or you're thinking too hard? It's your head.
The only thing, the one thing that I have found out, and you have to watch out for, because if somebody thinks they've seen a Bigfoot, there were probably at least 2 there.
Yeah.
They're never alone, and they're masters at deception. They will get your attention to keep your mind off of something else. And that is amazing how they do that. No, it's just, be ready for anything.
To me, that goes back to travel and survival.
Yeah. And don't sleep in a tent at Sylamore.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So
they'll know firsthand because they drug his tent off with him in it.
Do tell. Okay. All right. We're going to stay a little bit later. Okay. Let's hear this, Dale.
Well, I went up.
Oh, Dale done froze.
The first outing that I went on, besides on my own property, I went with them up there, of course. The first one I went to, I got there and I've set my tent off about 20 yards from the camp, and everybody kept saying, nobody sleeps in a tent around here. And I thought, well, they're messing with me. I'm bait this week, So anyway, and they kept telling me that all night. Nobody sleeps in a tent around here, and I'm like, man, I'll be fine. I've got my dog, I got my weapons, and I went back there and went to sleep. It was about midnight. About 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear these great big footsteps outside my tent, and it woke me up. They were so loud, and I'm like, nah, they're probably just messing with me, or I dreamed that or something. I imagined it, and I laid my head back down and I just fallen asleep, and something just pounded me in the head through my tent and was trying to get me. And then I heard one of those deep growls from the other side, and my dog comes over me, and I pulled out my pistol and put the laser sight on it, and it went away. And I'm like, wow.
That's all you said was
wow. I thought it was Marcus. I did. I thought it was Marcus. And I opened the tent and peeked out, and there wasn't nobody. Everybody was asleep. The fire was burning down, and I'm like, whoa. And I stayed in there for a long time, and I finally peeked out, and I didn't see anything. So me and the dog unzipped the tent, and we ran for the car and got in and locked the doors. And sat there till daylight or almost daylight, and then we ran for the campfire. But I'll never sleep in the tent again out one of them places. Not going to happen.
They literally could have woke up and you could have been gone. I mean,
yeah,
you've been gone.
Well, I got a picture. Me and Marcus was asleep. I had a big church van that I bought because I did racing, and all my pit crew were riding to the race in the van. But at this time, I was using it up there, and me and Marcus was asleep in the seat. And right above our head on the window, the same night he got drugged, was a big old greasy handprint with what would look like claws or nails. And I got a picture of that. I can send it to you. I was looking for it right now, but I can't find it right now.
I would love to see that. I think you guys are amazing. You are literally living Boggy Creek. You're living it, man. That is incredible. But you guys have a common sense approach. You seem to have a really strong bond, and I respect that. Now, I asked you at the beginning of the show if you guys want to take a minute at the end of the show and pay tribute to someone. So I'm going to give you guys the screen, and I guess, Wendell, you're the crazy one. I'll let you go first, sir.
All right. I want to recognize Tony the Spider Maddox. After I got into Bigfooting and everything, he's the first one that contacted me and said, hey, I want to show you some stuff. And then a friend of mine is Greg Morris. He didn't believe in Bigfoot and went with us on the first night to OARC. And he heard one of them whoop scream from right above us in a tree side of it. As it jumped off the bluff, he hit me on my shoulder as I was trying to figure out what it was. And he was shaking from side to side, and he said, "What was that?" And I said, "That's that Bigfoot you don't believe in." So I want to recognize Greg and wish both of them was here. I know I'll see them again in heaven someday. That's it.
Well, first off, I'd just like to say Wendell is an excellent team leader. He's woods smart, he's hunting smart, he's tracking smart, and he's probably helped me more than he realizes out there in the woods. And I just want to give a shout out to Cowboy. Cowboy is one of our members, and he hasn't gotten to come with us lately, but he's got to be the world's best camp cook you ever seen. And I hope he gets to get with us soon.
You guys, I really enjoyed. I want to thank everybody in chat, Dirt Road Bigfoot, Travel Bigfoot, BFFG, Jeff, Marty, all of you guys are really great. Your questions were great. Bristol, I really appreciate it, and I do hope you contact me when you go to that place where you were telling me about that. They're really aggressive, and I hope that God is with you and that you're prayed up and you go in with everyone, you leave with everyone you go in with. And you have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.